In this video, I want to recap USC's 72-70 victory over UConn. It was a really good game by two really good teams. My question is one of these two teams going to be great by the end of the season? And if so, what team is it going to be? And looking at this game today, which one looks more likely to be great come March? Now, before we start, if you enjoy the content, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel. Okay, let's get into this. As I said in the opening, it was a good game, and really the result really doesn't make a difference to me because it doesn't change anything I feel about these two teams. If Sarah Strong would have gotten that long rebound after she got it, and she would have kicked it to Ashlyn Shade in the corner, and Shade would have hit a three-pointer to win the game, I mean, we'd be talking about it, no doubt. But it would make me feel no different about these two teams. So instead of the result, I want to focus on what we learned from the game about these two teams. So first, let's take a look at the matchups. First, there was Paige versus Juju. This was good as they actually guarded each other at times. I think it's pretty clear that Juju got the better of the matchup as she scored points. She went for 25 versus Paige's 22, and Juju was more efficient. And I highlight that as normally we kill Juju for lack of efficiency, but in this game she played really, really well, as when she drew people, she was able to move the ball to the right player and they delivered. The other big matchup was Kiki Arieffen versus Sarah Strong. I'm going to call that one a draw. Strong went for more points and rebounds at 22 points and 13 rebounds, and she was efficient, going 8 for 15. Versus Kiki Arieffen, who went for 16 points on 8 of 19 shooting and went for 11 rebounds. But Kiki Arieffen opened everything up early in the game because she could score inside and outside. And when Gino conceded and went small at the end of the game from the third quarter on, Arieffen was able to punish UConn inside and get key baskets when they needed it. Although Strong would come back and was able to score right back at her. So it was really just a fun matchup to watch with really two dynamic players. I said in the last video that this was a big game for the UConn bigs versus the USC bigs because Marshall and Arieffen are dynamic, and how would they hold up? And the answer was they did not hold up. At the start of the game, it felt like Arieffen could get whatever she wanted off of Ice Brady. Gino brought in El Alfie, and I thought she did a little bit better job slowing her down initially, but Kiki Arieffen was hot anyway. Like, she made a jumper in El Alfie's face, and you knew it was going to be her night. The real problem with the UConn bigs is they're just not a threat on offense. Ice Brady has lost total confidence in her outside shot, and USC was basically daring her to shoot the ball, which just makes pick and roll a nightmare to run because the other players hanging back off of her. There was one play with El Alfie in the game where she did a pick and roll and she was open in the key, and I thought Beckers did a bad job of not getting her the ball. She threw it to KK. KK then had a chance to dump it to her, and it's like, you got to get your big going. You got to get them more involved. Because if you don't, then you're playing 4-on-5 and it's a nightmare, and essentially that is why Gino had to go to Morgan Shelley. Off the bench, I thought Morgan Shelley and KK Arnold, they just brought energy and got UConn back into the game just by the energy they brought, causing turnovers and chaos, and really that was the only chance they had. Is as bad as they shot in the first half, I'm amazed that they were able to get back into the game. The other big matchup I thought was going to be a big impact on this game was going to be Caitlin Chin on Kayla Heckel, but Kennedy Smith was back, and man, was that big. Because to me, watching it, it just felt like USC just had better athletes in the backcourt because both Smith and Watkins are so long. It was forcing UConn to rush their shots. I know they said they didn't have a bad shooting night, but a lot of that is based on USC. The same thing with Von Oelhoffen there. Just the three of them give them just really strong perimeter defense where they can challenge shots and make things rough on the other team. It reminded me a bit to some degree of Pippen and Jordan, just those two long wing players that just devastate teams as they're able to suffocate them with their defense. Avery Howell coming off the bench as well. She is long. I think she's 6 foot. So those three, and the freshmen, they're just going to get better and better. So Kayla Heckel, she held up well. Like when she was in against Chen, I thought she held up quite well. And then Howell looks good, and combine that with Kennedy Smith. This team is only going to get better as the season goes along. Coming away from this game, you'd have to say that USC is better set up than UConn going towards March because they basically have their 8-man rotation. It'll be Ari Effen, Marshall, Talia Van Olhoffen, Smith, and Watkins, their starters. Hopefully they can stay healthy. And then coming off the bench, you'll have Avery Howell as the swing player. Kayla Heckel is the point guard, and Samuels as well. And really the only concern with them is point guard position and handling the ball with pressure. But you would think Heckel is just going to get better and better as the season goes along. Their other advantage over UConn, I think, what sets them up in a better way is the Big Ten. They still have really good competition and conference games to come, whereas UConn only has South Carolina and Tennessee. Now for UConn, you could argue this the other way and say going back into the Big East isn't a bad thing because maybe we can build up Ice Brady's confidence and figure out how to use her and Jana El Alfie. The other big thing that UConn has built their premise on how they're going to be is that they have a big three, and that would be obviously AZ Fudd, who was obviously rusty today. As she gets her legs under her, you will have the big three of AZ Fudd with Paige Beckers and Sarah Strong. And if anything, the first part of the season has proved that Sarah Strong is legit and is going to be a good player. But in my mind, it's pretty clear that you need a healthy AZ Fudd to be that third piece because I just don't think it's enough having Paige Beckers and Sarah Strong. I just don't think they have enough around them to win a championship. They really need AZ Fudd to be that third option as well. They need Aubrey Griffin to come back as well, as she would have been perfect in this game. Instead of having Paige Beckers waste energy guarding Juju Watkins, you would obviously put Griffin on Juju Watkins for large duration of the game, and you would have thought that she would have given a pretty good matchup and made Juju work a little bit harder for her points. So if you are a UConn fan and you want to be optimistic, this is what you say. While playing the weak Big East, we're going to rebuild the confidence of our bigs, Jana El Alfie and Ice Brady, so that when we face off versus South Carolina, they are ready to go. In addition, we will work AZ Fudd into the lineup and as well Aubrey Griffin, and we will fully show out when we have South Carolina. We have one really big road test left, which is South Carolina, so effectively we have about 2 months to get ready for that. And during that time, Gino has a chance to try to turn this into a championship team. Now, if you're a pessimist, you would say, I can't believe I'm back here again depending on AZ Fudd and Aubrey Griffin to be healthy, and that's my best chance. Now it's over to you. What team do you think is better set up for March? Do you see a bit of Pippen Jordan in the whole Kennedy Smith Juju combo as well? Do you have any faith in the UConn bigs and that they will improve and hold up versus South Carolina? Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great night.